I want to give an example of how many different parts of us can get activated when we're in the middle of a conflict or we have a charge. And I'm going to give a very common example of when you're with a partner and you feel like you want to get more attention and love from them and you're not. And so I'm going to embody 4 or 5 different parts, at least for me, that come up around this. So the first one is my self-improvement project manager who just loves. I'm going to go right into like, okay, hang on a second. I know that I can be a real anxious attacher sometimes. So maybe if I just take a moment to regulate and really be with my feelings, and maybe they'll signpost the needs that I want. And I'll just evaluate their reasonableness to make sure that, I'm not asking for too much. And then maybe I'll make sure I ask them when they're in a good mood, because I really want to be aware of their nervous system and their capacity and So you can see how there's like a lot of like overthinking and making sure that I'm evolved. Yeah, there's that one. Then my second one might be, well, you know what? I'm not even gonna engage. I'm just gonna withdraw, because that way I'm not putting myself out the line. So if they don't come to me, I haven't overextended and I haven't been vulnerable, they'll eventually come to me. They absolutely will. Right? So there's kind of this hardened, withdrawn part that tries to match the level of desire that I'm getting from my partner. A third part of me will be, another part of me that goes into like, like shame. It's tender. It's a feeling of like not enoughness and like, why am I so broken at relationships? Why do I always find myself in this situation all the time? Like, if I could really do this, I would be able to come to my partner and just share my needs, but I don't seem to be capable of that. And I'm just sat here alone and crying, and I don't feel like I'm enough, or I don't feel like I can do this, right? So it's a very tender, self-critical, shame-based place. And then maybe the final part, and there'll be many, a hyper-attuner part, the part that really wants to be the best partner ever. And so I might cater to the partner and be like, how are you? Like, what is it that you need? Like, I really want to understand, like, is it that I've been, a bit too much for you lately? Maybe I've been quite demanding with my needs, and I just want to make sure I give you the space. Tell me about your world. And I like really try to overextend and understand that partner and put their needs ahead of mine, because, if they're happy, then they can't possibly be angry with me, and I can't possibly feel like a bad person. So you can see how all of those can coexist at the same time, and one or more might be louder at some points than another. And I think the best thing I've done is to be able to find out who's in the driver's seat and to get a little bit of space from that part to see, what is it protecting? What does it need? To not be so blended with it, but be able to see that it has its own worldview, its own behaviors, its own needs. And essentially, rather than suppressing it and putting it in a little cupboard, I go, okay, what's here? How can I love this part even harder? And I think that really helps me to soften and not be in tension. I think when I'm in a place of stuckness, it's usually because I have many competing parts vying for my attention. And so my job here is to feel into what are the constellation of parts that are here in my system right now, and who needs the most attention.
If you want to lean into more difficult conversations in your life and have more intimacy and connection,
then feel free to check out our group programs or book a one-to-one coaching call with Georgie or I.